The story we are telling today is called, Some Mistakes Cannot Be Made. Zyaokian died, not from illness or accidents, but from the foolishness of the villagers. Recently, there have been a series of deaths, and no one knows what kind of disease this is. The village elder, Kwai, as the oldest and most prestigious person here, invited a Taoist to practice exorcism. The Taoist came to the village and exorcised the demons for 3 days and 3 nights, but it didn't work at all. 3 villagers still died one after another. Kwai was very angry and blamed the Taoist for pretending to be divine, playing tricks, and deceiving money. The Taoist's eloquent defense is not his own incompetence, but that the devil is too powerful to eliminate him. Kwai asked the Taoist if there was any way to crack it. The Taoist stroked his beard and said slowly, "Since the devil is so strong and difficult to eliminate, why don't we pacify it? Whoever has a virgin in their family can give it to the devil, perhaps the devil will be happy." Although Kwai heard that this method was a bit difficult, he had to reluctantly do it for the welfare of the villagers. Yang Zhong is the only person with a foreign surname in this village, and he is loyal and friendly. Kwai will start with him. Sure enough, there was no objection from the villagers to this, and they all said that the girl from the Yang family, Zyaokian, was beautiful and offered sacrifices to the devil. The devil would definitely be satisfied and perhaps wouldn't bring disaster to the village. Kwai plans to provide some compensation to the Yang family, and ask the villagers to raise some money for the Yang family. As a result, the Yang family remained unmoved. Actually, Kwai had already anticipated it. The next step is to resolve it by force. Several strong young people in the village forcibly broke into the Yang family, tied up Yang Zhong and his wife, and robbed their only daughter, Zyaokian. Kwai chose the most recent auspicious day of the zodiac, and Zyaokian was tied to a pillar in the threshing ground, as a gift to the so-called devil. The one who ignited the fire was the Taoist. After performing a spell that no one could understand, he set fire to the firewood pile at Zyaokian's feet. No one can bear to see a young girl burned alive, but none of the foolish villagers feel that there is anything wrong with what they have done. Especially as Kwai watched Zyaokian scream, and turn into ash while sitting on the Grand Master's chair, smiling and shaking his head. It seems like I've done a great thing. Perhaps he really thinks so. Xiaoyao Town, as the name suggests, is for the sake of a happy and carefree town. Here, there are numerous brothels, where people either gamble or go ah-ring. The Dark Fragrance Tower is even more prominent among them. Yue Xiang was watching from a distance as a lewd person walked towards the direction of the Dark Fragrance Tower, with a smile on his face. He knows that this person is here to deliver money. He is the Taoist who obtained many benefits from Kwai for his meritorious exorcism. The Taoist drank in the Dark Fragrance Tower, and it was already getting late. He was preparing to make a beautiful prostitute happy. The Taoist in the wing room upstairs couldn't wait to kiss each other, but suddenly realized that the prostitute had turned into another person. This person was no other than Xiao Qian, who had been burned to death. The Taoist's exclamation startled the madam. Yue Xiang said with a pale expression, "Diao Ye, what's wrong with you?" The Taoist replied, "Nothing, I've had too much alcohol." The Taoist rubbed his eyes, and realized that there was no such thing as Zyaokian, it was his own illusion. After the madam left, the prostitute turned her back to the Taoist and took off her coat. The Taoist's burning desire disappeared without a trace, and the prostitute's back was black as if it had been burned. Then the prostitute took off her skirt, and her legs were also burnt black. "Little butterfly, what's the matter with this burn?" asked the Taoist. "Thanks to what you gave me, Mr. Diao." Little Butterfly's voice changed, and turned around. The Taoist let out a sound. "I saw myself facing a ghost with melted facial features and exposed teeth." No one knows how the room where the Taoist was located was burned. They only know that although the Taoist was not burned to death, he was completely unrecognizable. Even if he survived a major disaster, life was still worse than death. Kwai was currently pondering whose turn it would be for the next girl. At this moment, the people in the village who had kidnapped Zyaokian the previous time, without saying a word, dragged Kwai to the threshing ground and tied him up. Kwai didn't know what had happened, but the threshing ground was filled with villagers watching the excitement, everyone full of anticipation. Kwai was bewildered, because he saw another person holding a torch preparing to light the firewood under his feet. At this moment, he heard someone in the crowd pointing at him, and saying, "Who is this girl? Why haven't you seen her before?" Kwai was confused and just shouted wildly, "Help! You've caught the wrong person. I'm Kwai." When the raging fire broke out, Kwai saw in pain that the fake Kwai, who had burned himself, turned into Zyaokian. Kwai screamed like a pig, "Xiao Qian, or Ye is wrong." Zyaokian calmly looked at him and said something. If Kwai could still hear it, she said, "Some mistakes cannot be made, the story is over. Those who enjoy listening to stories can subscribe.